So happy Friday. I hope everyone's doing well. It is March 28th, National Respect Your Cat Day. I'm glad you could join us on the National Respect Your Cat Day show. Otherwise, otherwise known as the Now of Work
Do you
community
guys
and
like that he
podcast
actually
and
made
show.
me guess like three guesses as if I was going to get to that in three guesses? The now of cats. I
I
like
mean,
that.
I consider you kind of hip, Jess. You're usually on. You're usually on when it comes to
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah, I know. I'm off.
So,
I'll snap in. I'll lock in.
okay, do we have anyone new here? For those of you that aren't, anyone, please change your um, chat to everyone instead of host and panelists. Not that I don't want to see Anthony talking to us, but I want everyone to see Anthony talking. And for
Right.
those of you new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. We always do the same things to get started here. We have an amazing guest today, and I actually have to leave early for another
Yeah. Oh
live
my God.
event, which we'll talk about in a second. But so I want to get to our guests really quickly because I love these people. But we always start the same way, which is really quick. How are you? Three answers: green, yellow, red. Green, feel great. Yellow, so-so. Red, not so good today. And once again, all answers accepted, of course. And the purpose is just to get something off your plate, something on your mind. If you are green, to take a breath and to realize what it feels to be green. And if you're red, to feel it. And as we always do, please reach out to others in the community if there's something we can do to help. The cat is green also, which isn't. I've never seen a green cat, Katie, but I can't wait to see a picture.
I love
Jess, how are
it.
you?
We don't do any like formal polling here. Like the informal sentiment analysis tells me we're trending green today. Yes, it's
We
fun.
are trending green today. Yeah, I mean, for those of us that live in Minneapolis, where it's like going to be 70 and sunny on
Mhm.
March 28th, like what does they say? In like a lion, out like a lamb.
In like a lion, out like a lamb, I think.
Yeah, isn't this a lamb? This would be lammy,
This is
kind of,
very
right?
lamby today. I
It's
have no
very
excuse.
lammy.
I have to go for a run this afternoon. You guys, I have a race in like 6 weeks and I am not trained for 16 miles. I'm saying this out loud as my accountability statement right now. How many
In
miles
the
should I
green,
run? Tell me how many
yeah,
miles I should run.
in the green room, she was talking about this, that she's got to get out and run.
Yeah.
When do Jason and Jess sleep? Oh, come on, Tiana.
I just say I'll sleep when I'm dead. I got too much shit to do.
Tiana, I have to tell you just really quickly before we get to Jess, I need to get if you're green, yellow, red. Actually, we didn't even talk about it, but I bought this amazing new thing. And once again, you guys like to see, I'm such a gadget freak. I do the Whoop ads. 8 Sleep. If anyone's ever heard of 8 Sleep, I was suckered in from a podcast to 8 Sleep, and it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like how it adjusts your bed based on the temperature, how you're feeling, adjusts the temperature to based on your sleep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, I feel great because I had a great sleep score last night because of my 8 Sleep.
Wow. Jason told me once he thought it was funny that I don't wear any tech, no wearable tech. I don't wear a smartphone. I don't wear any gadgets. Like as much as I like, even for fitness training and race, like I don't wear anything. So when he like gives us all of his stats, I'm like, that's really interesting. I feel pretty good, I think. I have no data inputs. But I
But
think I could be converted. I think I need to do a Whoop band.
yeah, you see, if we do a Whoop band, we actually can set up a Whoop community.
What?
Yeah. I'm in a Whoop community with my two boys.
For accountability?
Well, accountability. Yeah, I guess maybe accountability. Oh, but now of Whoop. I love it.
Oh my
Oh
God.
man, we could get this thing sponsored. This would be awesome. I'm just kidding. Um, Jess, you're green, yellow. I gotta
Green.
keep us moving along.
Yep.
Green.
I'm green. The whoop of
Okay.
work. God. Are you green?
I am green. It's been a really, really crazy day, but I'm green.
Because you're going.
Guess why? Guess why? Oh, say it.
I have a guess.
Okay, go.
You are traveling to Dublin tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes, yes. I'm traveling to Ireland tomorrow, so I have to be green, right? I think I'm a
Yeah,
little late. I think I was invited to a St. Patrick's Day party there, and I'm late,
a little late. Have
a
you
little
been?
bit late.
I mean, you've been everywhere. Have you been to Ireland?
I have look, it's where I met Jess Chung for the first time. Like we were in the Guinness factory and she was I mean, nicely dressed. That we just had a great conversation. Not that she was drinking anything. I didn't say that. It's just that we were in the Guinness factory and it was a great time.
Wow. I have been to that factory, believe it or not. Well, I'm so excited. We have an innovation center we're building in Dublin, and that's why you're going, right?
Yes, it is why and I'm excited to go. But I'm also green because it's been a great week. Which gets us to the next portion of our show here, which is our one big thing. And this is where would love for each of you guys to put in the chat your one big thing that you feel like you made an impact this week on. And it doesn't have to be about work, it doesn't have to be about Guinness, it doesn't have to be about travel, but one thing that you did this week where you said, "Wow, I've made an impact on something."
Hmm.
One thing, though, we call this OBT, one big thing. First week in new job, Steve. I saw the posts. You looked awesome. So, and you look really happy. So it was really fun to see that in your new job. Um, Jess, do you have a big thing you'd like to share? I know you're going to sit there and read all these because they're
I
always so
know this
good.
is my favorite part. My one big thing. Actually, my one big thing, I have a like a delayed reflection on last week. I had an incredible trip to an event in Las Vegas last week, and I'm still reflecting on it. And I really want to call out Leah Tanner. Leah has been my trusted sidekick, my right hand, my execution arm. Like there's almost nothing I don't do that Leah doesn't touch. And I do a lot. And you know this, Jason, you feel this as well. And so when I had an opportunity to go do this huge keynote, I said, Leah, not only are you designing this, but you're coming with me. Like this is a production and execution. Like this is big. This is the biggest thing not I've ever done. This is the biggest thing we have ever done. And I just need to call out that that was a moment for Leah. Forget me, and like I hope the audience got something out of it. I think they did. I got great feedback. But somebody, actually the head of AI and product innovation at ADP, asked Leah, what agency did you hire to produce Jess's stuff? And Leah said, you're looking at her. And so that's my one big thing. I'm still like that glow is still hanging over me this week. And I just needed to say thank you to Leah.
That is so nice. Thank you for sharing that. And Leah is amazing. We've worked with Leah since the first day, uh, almost the first day of LeapGen.
Yeah.
So it's so fun to watch her continue to grow. It's really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I'm laughing and I had to do something because I saw someone put in the chat. Sorry, this is so off topic, of course, but I saw someone put in the chat and I have to just call it out. Now I have to find it. Oh my God. Oh, here we go. Lynn Marie. Lynn
I knew
Marie
you were going to go to that one.
so I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but at the same time I was researching and doing my prep for today's show, today, March 28th, is National Weed Appreciation Day. It actually is National Weed Appreciation Day, also. So just like cat, and I know you're not going to believe me, so there you go. National Weed Appreciation Day, March 28th. I didn't want to play any songs about weed, and so instead I picked the cats.
No.
And you guys think I'm completely insane at this
So Lynn
point, but
Marie, are you like prepping your garden beds, or do we even want to know? Because there is mesh for weed control in garden beds. I see I'm giving her an out, but we don't know. Maybe yes.
yes, so it is National Weed Appreciation. Really quickly, I think I'm gonna go one big thing, and thank you guys for all sharing. The whole weed thing was a whole different. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was a different kind of weed, also, Lori. But I think Jess, I follow one of our good friends, Steve Farber, and his work a lot. And Steve is Steve Farber, for those of you that don't know, wrote a book called The Radical Leap. And LEAP stands for love, energy, audacity, and proof. Okay, which is where the name LeapGen came from. Why I named the company LeapGen. Love, energy, audacity, and proof. Steve also has a concept that he talks about a lot, which is called GTY.
Mm.
And GTY is greater than yourself. And one of the things I've always tried to do in life is to try to build people or work with people. And the goal is, in my head at least, is I want them to be greater than me. I want them to be better than me. I want them to succeed in things that I maybe help them succeed in, but they're better than me. And I was supposed to be in Mexico this week, um, with a client, at a client kickoff. And instead of going to Mexico, I said, you know what? I want this team to do it. And it was a really crazy internal feeling. Like, oh my God, like I should be there. I should be there. I should be there. But watching them work and watching the empowerment that they took and then hearing the results made me so happy. I have to tell you, I am happier for them than I would be if I was there. And truly, like a GTY moment for me, where they probably did it thousand gazillion% better than I ever could. So that's my one big thing for the week is like I try to live it and I try to do it a lot. Sometimes I forget. But being able to do that is really rewarding to me. So that's my GTY.
I love that.
Hey, I have one big thing.
Okay.
I love this guy named Ray Wang.
Oh my God,
Uh,
he's too smart for his own, like seriously smart, you guys.
some people know Ray Wang from the industry. The industry, meaning
Vince.
the tech industry.
Yeah.
He's oftentimes seen on CNBC, Fox News, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm on his show next in 43 minutes. So I guess that's going to be my one big thing, only because I just love Ray. And for me, Ray and I worked together way, way back at PeopleSoft. Our careers have taken different paths, but oftentimes they lead to the same spot. You know,
Mhm.
he does his show weekly called Disrupt TV. It's live on X, it's live on LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really, really excited to be on. Not really because of what I'm going to say, but just because I get an opportunity to be with him. So
Yeah.
I think the link was in the chat a little bit ago. I hope some of you can join. It would be great to see some of you guys there. Once again, you can be on LinkedIn or on X or YouTube or what whatever your favorite platforms are. But Ray's an amazing guy in our industry, and if you don't follow him, I hope you do. There's a couple other guests on as well that I can't wait to meet and learn about too. So it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Ray is one of those guys, like, you know, when you meet someone super, 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 super smart, sometimes they're not that easy to engage with and talk with because they're so freaking smart. Like, you can't even, Ray is so human. He's so real. He's warm. He's engaging. And he talks about pretty technical concepts and like the depth to which he understands some of the stuff that we all just try to keep up with is crazy. And he can articulate it. In a way that kind of brings everybody into the journey. You're gonna have a fun conversation. I love
Oh
Ray.
yeah, I cannot wait. I mean, I love this because I mean that's why I even created a video yesterday because I was so excited because with this, nothing against you, Jess, because I get to do with you every week. But Doug and Elaine, which we're going
Oh
to
my
bring on right
God.
now, followed by Ray, like that is like for me like a dream day. So yeah, it's a fun day. Maybe that's why I look excited or whatever, young or whatever
Content
Alicia
day.
said. Yeah,
Okay.
big content
While
day. Big
Doug and
content day.
Elaine come on, while you come on, Doug and Elaine, the other thing is that I'm really well aware. I haven't even like looked at who's on right now because that's too distracting, but I'm well aware that there's a Jobs to Web reunion watching right now. And that is so freaking fun. You guys, we had the most fun. For those of us who worked at Jobs to Web and worked for Doug Berg back in the day, every single one of us say it's one of the best jobs we've ever had. When you are, there he is. And Doug knows this, and I have to pay this compliment to your face. When you're on a rocket ship and you know it, and you're at the tip of the spear and you know it, And you are well aware that you're working for one of the best startup tech companies. Like, you're literally changing the industry, and you know it in the moment. That's how it felt working at Jobs2Web. And so congrats to Doug for building that kind of spirit and community. And now you're doing it again. That's the crazy part. And hi,
Look at Heidi. Heidi's here. Like Heidi's here. Oh, I love all of these. I love all of these names. And Elaine and I had an opportunity to work together in multiple different places as well. So it's a grand reunion. But like I said, I'm so excited about it. And we were guessing where you guys were going to be calling in from because you guys are digital nomads. I think of you guys digital nomads. Doug, are you in Cabo or Minneapolis? Oh,
Uh-oh.
he's muted. We can't hear him.
I'm lip reading. I think he said Cabo.
I'm in Cabo, but from what I understand, it's warmer in Minneapolis today than here in Cabo.
I think so.
Oh yeah, like I had to. I mean, Doug, there were in Edina, Minnesota. Here, there were whales jumping outside my window. That's why I had to close my blinds so that I didn't see the whales. Like anyone that follows Doug online, like, oh my God, more whales, more whales, more
crazy.
whales. Yeah, he's either golfing or whaling or fishing, right? Or
Yes,
drinking. Oh no, I didn't say that.
Winning a fishing tournament.
Tacos and tequila. Yep. Or technology.
And Elaine, Texas.
Yep, Fort Worth, Texas this week. So home for the week, home office today. So
nice.
Awesome. Well, thanks you guys for being here. I'm so excited. You probably know a lot of the people in the community. And you guys, as we're going through, please ask questions of these guys. They're like two of the smartest people in this space for sure. And Jess, I was listening to what you said about the rocket ship thing and Doug. Like, you know how many times I've sat with Doug individually where he told me he was retired? And
we all laugh when Doug says that.
Yeah, like when you first said rocket ship, it made me think about like, oh my God, I swear that guy said he was retired like 3 or 4 times in in different meetings with him.
I don't remember
So
where we were. Like, we were on like the Google campus a few years ago for an event, and like pulled me aside. Jess, I got to show you something. That's my favorite part. Doug is always building something.
So would love
by
to.
the way, before you guys jump in, and we were talking about drinking. I have a great Ireland story for you.
Oh yes, I want to hear the Ireland story.
So I went to Ireland, and I was up on the north shore of Ballycastle, which is where the Bushmills Irish whiskey distillery is, and I was touring it. And outside of the distillery, they have this gigantic natural water lake, and they said that is their lake. That is their backup. So if there's for any reason a shortage of water, they can make whiskey for an entire year. Well, the government of Ireland came and said, well, we want eminent domain rights. So if there is a natural disaster, we take over the water. Well, the courts fought it out, and they could not get to a conclusion. So they put it up to a national vote to all the people in Ireland that said, if a natural disaster happens, what do you want, water or whiskey? Guess what they chose? Whiskey.
Oh my God. That is a good story. I'll have to keep that in mind while I'm there. It was so funny watching Elaine's face while you were telling that story. It was like watching a daughter watching her dad tell a bad dad joke, basically, is what it felt like to me as I was watching that.
Funny.
Okay,
and I do like Paul's comment that said, "I'm retired" as a code word for I am raising money for a thing. I think that's classic as well.
Yes. Okay, Elaine, whiskey, tequila, beer, or wine, or soda, or none of it.
vodka.
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome both of you. What a fun crew and fun conversation we're going to have. I have always said this: once a recruiter, always a recruiter. Talent acquisition is the first to disrupt itself and the first to innovate. Whenever the market is turning over and changing and things need to evolve and innovate, TA always feels first because it feels closest to a consumer-like experience. Branding, attraction, recruiting, like how you connect people to brands. We borrow a lot of concepts from consumer branding, which is what in consumer marketing and consumer advocacy, all of the things that we do in marketing and consumer side brand stuff. Guess what? TA borrow, steal, rip. Like that's why Jobs to Web was so disruptive and successful. And there's still, but yet, if we were to harshly judge ourselves, we're still behind. Like we're always lagging. The people side of business compared to what we do in customer experience, customer attraction, brand work, like why are we always lagging? And so I know you're up to something and disrupting the space yet again, but maybe just comment on where we're at, what's happening in recruiting and talent marketing, what's going on in the industry from your point of view.
I love how you just gave that question to no one. And you expect one of them to pick who's going to answer that question, because both of them are like wealths of knowledge and you didn't address it to one of them. Do you want me to tell you? I'm not going to tell you. So you have to ask one of them.
Elaine, what do you think?
A great question. And I think the industry, we're in constantly evolving cycles, but you're right. Consumer grade, it doesn't exist yet in talent acquisition. And we still have a long way to go. I can remember my career started in client server and Resumex and as a recruiter, and 21-inch black and white monitors to see a resume. So we've evolved quite a bit from there to what we have today for technology, but we've got a long way to go. And I think for me, the passion project was the talent board and the candidate experience awards. And looking at the coming up on 14 years now, I think of that program, and the fact that the candidate sentiment is still the same, even from the first couple of years, means we've got runway to make things better.
Yeah, Elaine, you definitely triggered some PTSD with the resume. When you threw it out there, there's some people have no idea what you're talking about, I'm sure, but you definitely triggered it with a few.
Well, it certainly makes for a great password code too. It's a great password code because nobody knows what it is. You can't break it.
Now we know our password, Jess.
Yeah, not anymore.
Doug, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've seen the business from a lot of angles, right? I've probably spent more years trying to solve the talent acquisition problem from the companies towards the candidates. My last company got bought by Indeed, and so I got a little bit more of exposure from solving it from the candidate towards the company. And I think with all the AI hype that's in the market, things are improving in the respective silos. But I think the gap that I still see is that with all these back-end integrations, I don't see anybody that's built, if you will, a front-end integration. And so, like Elaine was alluding to, the consumer experience we have, like I went to San Francisco, it was amazing. I could get on my phone and order an Uber. I knew exactly where he was, when he picked me up, how long it was going to take to get places. I could order a pizza to my hotel room. I could get a Lime scooter and jump on it and scoot all over. And so it was just awesome how much information, how much consistency, how much personalization. And again, we're just still very void in the talent acquisition business, even with the best Phenom sites and the best Beamery sites and all of the Indeed Apply stuff. It's awesome in its respective places, but I've had to help my kids, I was telling Elaine, search and find jobs. And when you leave the source side, the Indeed side, and end up going to 6, 7, 8 different career sites, it's a completely different experience. I've got to set up all of these different accounts. I'm getting asked completely different questions. It's very confusing about whether I'm applying to the right job or not. And then there's no guess if I'm going to ever get feedback related to like if I got the job or not. It's just a rejection kind of a thing. And so I think Elaine and I's passion aligned on the Match2 project by trying to say, how can we deploy something in the middle of this that can really help to bring candidates and companies together better, so that companies don't have to keep going through the problem sets of capturing candidates and bringing them through signups and accounts and personalization and job discovery and informing them about whether they're a good fit for jobs or not. And so like, that's where the AI can play a pretty cool role. But at the end of the day, Elaine and I are probably maybe one of the few people that have built entire integration ecosystems where we can integrate from everything to Avature to Workday, but nobody's ever invited the candidate into that. And that's what we're really trying to do here, is to create a much better data exchange and better everyday experience between candidates and companies.
So Doug, I've been dying to jump in. You saw I even raised my
No
hand
problem.
politely. And I didn't know there was AI hype, first of all, but I'll look that up later. But the second thing that I wanted to say, this class I'm teaching at College of Charleston, one of the students said they applied for a job and they didn't hear back, and they were blown away. Like literally,
Yeah.
they were blown away, and I was like, that's normal. Like I said
Yeah.
that's normal. I said that's normal. And they're like, that's normal that I applied for a job and I don't hear back. And it made me think. This was just 2 weeks ago, and it made me actually think. Like, are we like? Do companies actually want to solve this problem? It actually, like on my flight home, it actually made me question: do companies want to solve this problem? And I want to get to that, if it's okay, before we get to the tech,
Yeah.
because I don't out of all of the stuff that we've built and you've built and everyone's built, like, why is this still a problem? And that made me think, like, do companies want it to be a problem? And I don't think they do. So why, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think the platforms that the companies have chosen by design require what I'll call transactional and one-time use mentalities for the entire industry. So I'm always pouring more candidates in the top. And if I'm a candidate, now I'm using AI to do the same numbers game by machine gun applying. And so, how do I get to be one of the first 5 or 10 candidates on a job requisition? Because they seem to be the only ones that ever get a job. And I don't know how many people have applied to a job. So, and the psychology on the candidate and recruiter side has always puzzled me, because on the candidate side, they apply to one job. It's a very emotional thing. And you're putting yourself out there. And then if you get rejected, the candidate thinks, wow, I applied to Target and they never want to hire me because I
Yes.
applied to one job. And so then they won't come back and try to apply for another job. And on the recruiting side, they're like, oh my gosh, look at all these candidates. Oh, wait, Doug applied to a job 6 months ago. We never even looked at his resume, but if he applied then and we didn't hire him, well, then why would I want to look at him now? And so, like, it creates like this massive at scale problem around engagement and psychology that can just completely get wiped out by adding better engagement, better information, and more informed experiences in the middle of how candidates apply and interact with employers in their market. So,
And I'm going to take it one step. I agree. Volume is the problem. A lot of our problems can be chalked up to the mindset we have around filling the top of the funnel with as much unqualified volume as we can. The goal should be refining. I'm going to take this one step further. I should not even see a job that's not appropriate for me. You're doing a pretty terrible job of advertising and promotion. If you're showing me a job that is not relevant to me, I'm not qualified for, I'm not a good fit for, like that's already bad tech, bad algorithm, bad outreach, bad marketing, if I'm seeing something that I shouldn't apply for, and vice versa. And so I think we need to change our mindset around spray and pray and, advertising everything to everyone and volume being the goal for candidate attraction. It should be finding, and instead of making all the job seeker do all of the work, you talked about search and find, it should be a mutual finding. And that's the exciting part about AI, to be honest, that we can have more refined, nurtured conversations that only show each other relevant matches.
And Elaine, in reading the chat, I'm kind of going from a little green to a little yellowy, like when people are actually saying that companies don't care. I'm like, oh my God, like what? Like, so you talk to companies every single day for the last 10
20.
years,
Thank
10
you.
years.
More than
Yeah.
5 is what
Like, do companies care? Do recruiters care? Like, before we get into the tech, the last question before we get to the tech, like I think they care. And I think
It's
it's
a
going to be
great
a bit, we
question.
keep saying it's going to be a bigger issue with skills and everyone's getting older and
Yeah.
retiring and all that other stuff, like Doug. Where do you see this disconnect?
Well, I'm going to hold with two thoughts. One is I hope they still care. Because if they don't care, we don't have much to go forward with as far as an industry is concerned. But the companies I've had an opportunity to work with for years do care. I think the internal politics play a role into it. The who owns the tech? Does it IT? Is it TA? Who gets to do the design work on it? Who at the end of the day has the relationship with a candidate? All of those are factors that come into play that can easily be solved for. But the barriers are fear and risk. I mean, today, the reason why candidates don't know where they stand in the status of the process is we're afraid to tell them that they weren't selected. So we don't tell them anything, we ghost them. And those are just behaviors that we've just done because that's the way it's always been done. That fear of risk, the fear of legal response, etc., where I do believe we can get well past that. And I think we'll see we have to. And I think the only other thing is that there's a financial implication to organizations that do treat candidates poorly. And we'll just continue to see that in the retail industries. We'll continue to see that in consumer facing companies. But even those that are B2B, you see it in the relationships that candidates won't refer their friends. And because of the bad experience that they've had. So there's a huge opportunity overall to improve that experience, to create that awareness and that transparency that's going to help candidates be successful.
And just a question, like as a manager, as a hiring manager, I care. Like I care a lot. Like when you use that word ghosted just now, like I got a like gut punch. So like it makes me start to question, do managers care more than recruiters?
Again, I'm going to say I hope not, because recruiters, this should be your passion job. This is what this is not something you show up every day to do and just check mark the box. It is way too important that you're identifying the right person for the right job to move their life forward. It's a very emotional, as Doug said, it's very intimate process, and we should be in the mindset of caring about what's happening from the individual and the company perspective. So recruiters should care more.
I love that. I love that. And Doug, I was, just on the tech side, I was talking to a company yesterday who said, and I can't believe I heard this for like how many times in my life, but they actually said, we're not happy with Workday recruiting, so we're thinking about going to Success Factors. Like that, literally. I probably heard that 100 times, and I heard it yesterday again. I was like, oh my God. Like, and how do we get over that stuff? Sorry. How do we get over that stuff where we stop talking about the ATS and this tool that's designed for recruiters? And we just like, I was on the line with a client earlier today who said, can we just blank slate this? Can we just blank slate this? So as you think about what you're doing and what you're up to and what you're building, like, how can you get people to blank slate it? Because I think that's truly what we kind of need.
Well, there's blank slating, but and again, I think people care. I think recruiters care. I think managers care. It's more of a time issue, I think. If recruiters had unlimited time and could sit down with every candidate and have a conversation with them about what it's like to work there and whether they're a fit or not, and oh, hey, I see you wrote your resume, but you forgot to put team collaboration or international management, or because just like how companies don't write job recs great, candidates don't write their resumes, so it's perfectly aligned. And unfortunately, technology up till now has been very accurate, right? I tell the funny story about how I tried to leave Mexico last time, and my airline ticket said Berg, and my passport said Douglasburg, and the Mexican security people would not let me through. They said, you're not flying because your ticket says Doug and your passport says Douglas. And I'm like, they're the same. But the hard reality is that that's how most ATS systems treat candidates.
Yeah.
And I was able to call Delta and say, hey, change my ticket quick to say Douglas and get through. Candidates don't have anyone to call. So in an apply or goodbye only method, I mean, think about it. All ATS systems are the only way a candidate can express interest or show that they want to work for my company typically is you have to go all the way to applying for a job. So there's been limited calls to action, limited ways to interact and relate to candidates. there's been nothing other than a data entry method, which is frustrating for candidates. It's like doing a tax return every time you apply, to be able to tell me, am I a good fit for this job or not? Oh, and there's 3 things I'm missing. I just forgot to put on my resume. Do I really got to go out? Like, there's no engagement or gamification of that process that now includes me and lets me screen myself into jobs, as opposed to just you screening me out, not telling me why, and saying I got rejected. And so until that middle part of the entire talent acquisition mentality changes, we're not going to see a lot of difference, no matter whether you switch from Avature to Workday to SuccessFactors. If you're just still living in an apply or goodbye method, you're not going to get any different results.
So I think part of the problem is what you just described, that we still have a very one-to-one linear view, one applicant, one requisition, go or no go. And that's a pretty narrow way to think about talent and opportunity. Number one, jobs are changing too fast. They're changing overnight. The shelf life of skills is shrinking to nothing. Organizations are moving fast. Jobs might not even be posted today, but somebody knows in the back of their head, we need to build this out. We have an innovation center in Dublin. We got to staff up. So we're not having broad enough conversations, and that could be designed for. Right now, that's a manual. I just had a conversation this week. Hey, we have this bright young talent who interned with us 2 summers in a row. She's interested in AI and product. Do we have anything for her? That required a human conversation and some human networking to say, do we have anything for her in her time frame? I don't know. We might need to push this out. Yes, I think recruiters care and hiring managers care, but that kind of like, this is a human touch moment, because the system isn't really designed to have that conversation, to have a discovery conversation. Instead, if we said, introduce yourself to us. What do you do? What do you want to do? What are you interested in? Do you want product? Do you want this? Do you want that? And then some kind of experience system that says, yeah, this company hires people like that. And then there's to me, this is like a complete redesign opportunity, so that we can stop having do we have a rec open with a really poorly crafted job description we're going to try to keyword match against? This terrible resume that they used AI to write. That's not the right way to go about assessing talent. My hot sports opinion.
It's one of the only things I love about what AI can do, right? Because if you flip the recruiting process around, and instead of having candidates using keywords to search for job titles and locations, which is different everywhere. And we were talking to one employer that's a big healthcare company, and you search for RN jobs on their career site in Arizona, there's 114 jobs. Well, how am I supposed to know which one of those? Am I going to read all of those jobs, or am I just going to find the first one and apply to it?
Yeah.
And so, the beauty of some of how AI can bring efficiency to this is, let me upload my resume, start with the candidate first, and let the jobs, those 114, re-rank and sort themselves. Because yes, I'm an RN, but I'm a wound care RN, and I love to work the second shift. And I've worked with these technologies and these types of procedures and this type of an environment. And so when you're doing full profile to full requisition matching, the relevancy of that is spectacular. And then if you invite the candidate into the conversation to say, here's the recommendations we made, but please confirm, and then ultimately submit yourself. Imagine if every applicant that applied to every job on your site was applying for the very best job every single time. I mean, that efficiency alone would coin sort candidates into a much more better output that recruiters could then relate to, as opposed to just this massive haystack of non-qualified applicants.
Ben, I love your question. Let's do it in the chat. Did you find your last job, the one you're in or the last one you had, via cold applied, direct apply? You searched, found the job, direct applied, no contact, no networking, no nothing? Or was it through people, connections, networking? I would love to know. My last job is this one. I've been with Jason how long now? And it happened
27 years. No, just kidding.
Forever. And it happened in a coffee shop. Hey, I'm starting this new thing. Cool. What can I do? That's how it started.
Starbucks Galleria.
Yes. My kids still point to the table and say, is that where you sat with Jason?
It's probably the same table.
Yeah.
So Steve Jewell in the chat said earlier Match.com. And, you know,
Yeah.
Elaine, as Chief Strategy Officer of Match2, I assume you're not building the next Match.com. So can you talk a little about what you're doing and what you guys are up to kind of solve this problem?
Sure, I'll give it a start and I know Doug will fill in. The reality is it's match2.jobs, and no, it's not match.com and related to relationships. It is relationships when it comes to your profile, your resume, you as a person and an individual, and how you interact with those jobs, much like Doug described. So we're building that network and that connected talent network so that candidates can actually have a relationship with the organizations through personalization, through their return visits, through communications in such a way that just drives a more quality engagement that's not just apply and pray. It's now an engagement where I'm able to react with my resume. I'm able to interact with the jobs based on which ones show up that are relevant to me versus all jobs, like was discussed. And then my ability to then apply to those jobs that are most relevant, which then brings the recruiter equation and bringing higher quality talent to the recruiter first. So the candidates that are applying to opportunities that are relevant. And I have one of my kids in the job search process right now. And I think one of the greatest barriers that she's had in doing this is she's had 3 different types of careers already in her career profile and knows where she wants to go, but there is no single job that she can match to today. And so as we think about what we're able to do in the future is take that experience and tie it better to a job when the candidate's looking for that right opportunity.
Is data ownership a thing here? So back in my recruiting days, I was a Taleo user for God knows how long. And I remember asking the question, why don't we have a global candidate profile? Like the candidate just creates and owns their own data profile, and you can submit for access to it. Like, why am I applying 27,000 times, like, and filling out fresh fields every single, like, I have a profile and you can ask me for access to it, but it's mine. It's portable, it builds, it grows over time, it becomes richer. And an employer, like, I can give an employer access to it, or you can, like, is that a thing here? And everybody looked at me like I was crazy 20 years ago. I probably was.
It's been talked about for 25 years, as you know, Jess. And back to my travel analogy, you know, when I landed in the United States and got through international customs, they're like, you don't need your passport, you don't need your ID, just smile into the camera and voila, you're back in the country. And a part of me is like, that's how it should be for the candidates. Imagine if every employer could just drop a simple script into their site. And on the very first visit, a candidate gets greeted by name. Hi, Jess, welcome to Best Buy Careers.
Yeah.
Do you want to favorite us and connect with us? Great, click, right? So everything we're doing in our social networking life should be replicated in a direct candidate to company type of an experience. But again, the platforms are busy building what the platforms are building, and the sourcing sites are busy building what the sourcing sites are, but nobody's building. And again, remember, for years, the ATS platforms were very political about who they let into their partner programs.
Yes.
So it's like only one background vendor, only this, right? And limited people tremendously about like what scripts you could put in your site. Well, luckily and wonderfully, that's changed a lot. And I don't know of any platform that won't allow a candidate facing script like your Google Analytics or whatever. So that's what's made something like this possible at an industry-wide scale level, so that we can now give the candidates, if you will, a reverse CRM that lets them now manage that data, compliantly give access to the data, follow the terms of service use for all of those things, so that they can now, instead of just being a one-time record that applied into my system, they can link to that record, because through the integration, we know what record ID we created. We connect that back to the candidate. The problem with like ghosting and stuff is candidates will apply to 8 to 10 jobs, and it's so hard to log back into all these systems. They're not going back and saying, I took another job, take me off the list. We make it one click easy. And so when a candidate says, hey, I took another gig, let the employers I applied to know I'm off the market for now, And when I
Mhm.
come back on, I don't need to start from scratch. I can say, let my favorite employers know, but now it's direct into your systems. It's not just through LinkedIn. It's not just through Indeed. I'm creating a direct candidate to company data relationship where now we can do business together for our entire career and enjoy basically this better, frictionless, more informed method of exchange.
And Lynn, your comment earlier in the chat, Taleo as a candidate, I'd avoid a job if they used the problem was not
Mhm.
so long ago, Taleo had 85% of market share. So if you're an active job seeker and you apply to 20 jobs, guess what? You're going to hit Taleo more often than not. And that was my whole point. Like, why am I applying to the same system with 20 different skins on it?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm filling out the same info and forget parsing my resume. Like, it was just such a clunky experience that put all the work on the candidate. I hate that we put all the work on the candidate. The employer needs to own a little bit of this experience, just like you would attract. Would you make it this hard for consumers to buy your product? If you sold lawnmowers, would you make it that hard for me to buy a freaking lawnmower, or am I going to march down the street and go somewhere else because this is craziness? Like, put that lens on what we do to candidates.
So Doug and Elaine, I need to jump. I apologize, but one of the things I would love for you to talk about is when we start to see this. So, is this like something that no one's ever going to see, quote unquote, and it's just going to be like this magic GPT that somehow gives me words back? Like, is it something that people sign up for? Is it something that vendors sign up for? And how will we measure success in the industry? Now, good thing I know the answer to this because I'm leaving, but I would love for you to talk to the audience about this.
This is Jason's favorite part at the end. He just pulls the pin out of the grenade.
Asks the big question and leaves.
Have fun with Ray.
Thanks.
Jason.
Yeah, so when does this happen? What are companies doing with this already? I know you've got clients running this.
Elaine, you want to answer the beta? Like we're going into beta with on the corporate side, and so we've got our first several platforms launching, which will be great, which will help us to understand participation rates, conversion rates, capture rates, all that good stuff. We're in conversations with all the platforms, and they've been wonderfully excited about offering this as an extension or an add-on, right?
Yeah.
To their existing stuff, because it helps them to catch up with candidate-facing personalization, job discovery, the quality of application issue, and so you'll probably start seeing it as an option or an add-on option to all of the major platforms. And the candidates can join in right from the company sites, because this is not going to be a job board. It doesn't create competition. It's not like all these other models where, hey, your candidates are going to get pooled with everyone else's candidates, and it's not like that at all. It's going to be a wonderful thing. So launching with beta customers now. We're open for business. It's available.
There you go, Nicole.
Yeah, it's available for enterprise drop-in. The candidate side would hopefully be live in like 30 to 45 days, where candidates can either directly come and register, or they can just register as a part. Like it's kind of like using Google Auth. If you use Google Auth on a site where it says, hey, you can give us your email and create an account, or just log in with your Google, that's exactly how the login with Match2 is going to work. And then that creates the connected piece of this. And what's really cool about it too, it's like, not only is it better for candidates, and I think companies have invested a lot of time and energy trying to understand how candidates came to them, right? Like what referring sources and my cost per applicant.
What a brilliant idea. Again.
Yeah. But imagine if now you can also start to get insights about where candidates went after they left you. So as the Match2 network starts to gather momentum, imagine being able to log in and say, hey, where did candidates go? What other companies did they apply to? What other company career sites did they visit? How long did it take me to get to an interview with candidates, or to an offer, or to a hire? And because we make it one click easy to let candidates kind of manage their data relationship with the employers as they go through a job search process, we'll also be able to survey them and say, well, why did you go to Target instead of Best Buy? And get that kind of data so that we can help every employer that's got Match2 not only have better data connections, but they'll have better market insights about the candidate behavior and the candidate decisioning that happens even after they've left my career site.
Steve finds that brilliant. I agree. It's just like we track, you guys, it's like, it drives me crazy when I see like marketing tech. Like, oh my God, good marketing tech knows exactly. My Instagram feed knows I'm going on spring break into
Mhm.
because I've been shopping. I bought
Yes.
sunglasses, I bought a swimsuit cover up. My Instagram feed knows exactly where I'm going, and I
That's
haven't told
right.
it. Like, why do we not like, I think Jess might be an active job seeker. She's been looking
Yeah.
on this site or that site. Like, guys, this tech exists. It's
Well,
totally
that's
possible.
actual intelligence, isn't it? And
Yeah.
actionable intelligence, not just artificial intelligence. And as
Yeah.
long as you're inviting and allowing the candidate to participate and compliantly consent to let their favorite employers know, yep, I'm back in the market. I mean, in our mind, that becomes a must-have data element that you would have as a part of your site. And so that's why we're so excited to kind of bring this to market and not cram it down the throat as another platform you got to buy or whatever. It's just simply a little app you can pop into the iPhone of your current recruiting technology and strategy. And now you instantly know all of this. You're delivering a better experience as well as getting better data and interactivity with your candidates.
So with our last couple of minutes, I want to comment on the other thing. If we're going to make this change, this positive change, we have to change our success metrics. And it's been commented on a couple of times in the chat. And Elaine, maybe you want to tackle this one. I'm sure you'll be working with your early adopter customers on this. Volume is not the right success metric. Time to fill, cost per hire, not the right success metric. How do we measure success if we're changing the game?
Yeah, I think there's two real measures on this one. Candidate sentiment, NPS score. I think just being even those candidates that may not be selected for that job, but that experience that they put their best foot forward, that they were considered for the opportunity, that they were given a quality conversation about it, because the second measure being the quality. So that is the real driver for recruiters today in the talent acquisition space. How do I get better quality candidates at the front? And how can I engage with them more quickly? And so those are the measures that we're really going to have to focus on. It isn't about volume anymore. I don't need to add, in my old phrase, Jason would remember this, hay on the needle. I need more needles. And so how do we make sure that those candidates are associated to the right jobs first? So not just the first job that shows up on the list. And those will be measurable differences.
Yeah, Paul, I love your comment. When personalization is so good, it kind of freaks you out. I always say if it's right and if it's relevant. If it's right, meaning good data, I had the right experience, it was accurate, it was actually correct, good job, good on you. And if it's relevant to me, again, my feed keeps showing me shit. It thinks that once I want to buy and it's right. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I need that. Like if it's relevant, then it makes my life easy. It's helpful to me. Like it's got to be right. It's got to be relevant. I think people are willing to give up. I say give up. I think we're willing to let personal data be leveraged if it can be leveraged for something that's good for us. Show me a job I never would have found on my own. Show me an opportunity I wouldn't have had time to. If my internal talent marketplace says, Jess, you're probably ripe and ready for this over here, I don't have time to look for that. I don't even know it's happening. I don't know it exists. And nobody's tapping me on the shoulder and saying, oh, Jess, we've had you on this pathway to, we don't, this is where tech can help create these personalized experiences at scale that feel really human, because otherwise it's just a human lift to try to, connect the dots in really smart ways like this. So you can humanize tech to where it can feel good and have the right outcomes for everybody.
Well, and my thing is, I think platforms that have participative ethos to them are going to win, right? I always say personalization that doesn't include curation equals frustration. Right. And so, like, I think Facebook, whether you like it or don't, is one of the best platforms I've ever seen, right? If they get an ad wrong, I can say, hide this ad, it's irrelevant. Never show me this advertiser again. you can, you know, tune out friends if you don't want to hear from them for 30 days and stuff like that. But it's an amazing thing when you actually, you know, LinkedIn has sent us all horrible job recommendations for 10 years, and we've never been able to go back and say, why'd you send me this? Don't send me this anymore. If you want to get it right, let me do that. And so I think that's part of what I think we're trying to enable even the legacy platforms to be able to do, is offer a new participative type of model that is candidate driven, so that we can enjoy better and easier capture rates. It's more relevant for each side of the recruiting strategy, and finally starts to honor and tilt the tables more towards the candidate, so I can provide this more informed experience. So
yeah. I tell my, I don't want to, now Alexa's going to respond to me. I tell Alexa all the time, stop playing that song. I don't know where you understood that I like that Lizzo song. I don't play it for me anymore. Like, train your algorithm, train your stuff,
block it.
Curate your own feed.
Yeah.
Nothing against Lizzo. That one song is just too much. All right, it is time. We always run out of time. You guys, congratulations. Everybody is super excited to see you do this, because it's so necessary and nobody has cracked this code yet. And if anybody can, you will. We cannot.
I went from retired to refired, and it's all because Elaine talked me into it. So
I love it. Thank you for being on. I love all these jobs to Webbers in the chat.
Yes, hello to everybody.
Reunion. And if you guys have time to follow Jason over to Disrupt TV, play him in the background if you're working or whatever, that'll be a fun conversation too.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Happy
Thanks,
weekend.
Jess.
Bye.